So I'd like to talk about nationalism versus globalism. And until Trump ran, it wasn't really an issue that was on the radar of libertarians. It was always a leaning toward globalism as in free trade globally. But the idea of kind of like state rights and separation of government, while in the sphere of libertarianism, wasn't really focused on as hard. And it was only in the kind of context of state rights and that, that might be something that we can push on to, to get things to be a bit more libertarian in scope. So it is kind of hard to criticize mainstream of libertarians for not going hardcore on the nationalism idea. But part of that got me to change my view on it was the entire Brexit incidents. The idea that nations could have a chance of not really being sovereign, having it sent out to like a federal level ×2. That's something that really got me into the idea of nationalism. And I think that if you think that the state rights arguments works for you, that it's something that makes sense for you, that we have a better chance when we have a lot of smaller government bodies making decisions, that economic incentives across the board, eventually it is going to be a lot easier when you have several state actors competing against each other. Obviously, it's not going to be as efficient as if people who are fully devved in the market, it doesn't have to be like free market, just normal, everyday life market, they're going to be a lot more attuned to those ways in the marketplace. But, even just, divided, states or provinces having a bit more responsibility and being on that level, having to compete with each other, I think has huge benefits. But the reason why that prompted me to make this video was because of a Reason TV article that was put out against Trump saying, we can be both citizens of the world and Americans, Trump. It's not an either or. And I think that although you might not agree with everything that he does economically, that it is a good step going forward. That, sometimes, a state who now has its own power to do its own thing might do something completely against your worldview, but the fact that America is becoming a lot more nationalist, a lot more, this is our way of doing things, this is for us, this is our way, we're going to try it, I think that should be championed, even though it's not going to go the way you like, that in the long run, having nations as opposed to a one world government is probably a better way to go, and that we should always be pushing in that direction. And so I know I'm not going to change their minds, and even if they did watch this video, probably wouldn't change their minds, but I just wanted to get my 2 cents in that a lot of libertarians are still trying to push a globalist agenda when it's not even going toward the way that libertarians would like it to go. They're just pushing it, despite that. Leftists I can understand just because it's how their mindset works, it's how their philosophy works, is that, you have to get a bigger government in order to scoop everyone into the same pool in order to redistribute wealth and so on, and that, it breaks down, their model breaks down when it's put to smaller government, but our model works better the smaller and smaller it is. So I can understand why a leftist would want a larger and larger government, because it can only work that way and it works better the larger it is. And, they'll kick and scream when it doesn't go their way, but they're not going to call for secession anytime soon. Where on the right, you will see that. So even though that it might not be free market, it is still better for you in the long run. It's worse for you in the long run to promote globalism, because eventually leftists will get in, and their model is just better designed for that. So those are my 2 cents. Please like and subscribe, and put yourself on my email list if you want to get emails every single time I put out a new video. I'll see you guys next time.